Welcome to Everything Arsenal, and this is your latest Arsenal news. So, obviously, the international break is still going on. We still have another week to endure before Premier League football returns, and it's tough. It's very tough, let's be honest. I've had to watch games between Latvia and Moldova. I've had to watch friendly matches between random teams like Maldives against Guinea. Sorry, we've had to watch teams against like San Marino. It's a real struggle during the international break. But let's talk about Arsenal. Let's talk about Arsenal. Our boys, how are they doing during the international break, and how are the injuries? Because as of yesterday, Thomas Partey got injured again. Yes, Thomas Partey, the guy who played for us against Brentford, he is injured again. He did not feature for Ghana yesterday. So what's the latest on him? We'll talk about him. We'll talk about the latest on him, according to reports from Ghana and according to reports from Charles Watts. And also the latest on Martin Odegaard. Obviously missed the Brentford game. Zinchenko, same with him as well. He missed the Brentford game. Are they going to be back for the big North London derby next time out? We'll also be talking about the latest on Cedric, Nelson, and such kind of players. Will they be back anytime soon? El Neny, we already know, is going to miss out for a couple of weeks. And also Emil Smith-Rowe, a guy that I really like at Arsenal. I really think he adds a lot to our team. So are they going to be back for the North London derby, and when are they scheduled to return? So let's start with Thomas Partey. Obviously, at the beginning of the season, all our players were fit. Like, we were not talking about injuries. Like, it seemed too good to be true. So the moment our players started going down with injuries, he knew Thomas Partey would get injured. This one would get injured. That one would get injured. And Thomas Partey returned against Brentford. Really, really happy with that. We managed to keep a clean sheet. We were very comfortable in midfield in that game. Him and Xhaka, they looked very good together. But as soon as he went to Ghana, I was really hoping that he wouldn't get injured. But yesterday, he didn't actually get to play. According to Georgia, I think a Ghanaian reporter, Thomas Partey replaced by Baba Idrissu after picking up a knock in the warm-up. So yesterday, Ghana were playing against Brazil, and Thomas Partey was actually in the starting lineup, but he was removed in the last minute because he picked up a knock during the warm-up. Now, we cannot speculate. It could be either. We can only speculate. Sorry, it can either be they just didn't want to take a precausion at all. They just wanted to take precaution. They didn't want to take any risks with him. The moment he got a knock or anything like that, they were like, no, we're not going to play you at all, or something like that. Or did he not want to play in that game? Because it's a game against Brazil. I'm sure he would have wanted to play in that match. So that is very it's very worrying that he picked up another knock. If it's an actual knock and it actually meant he missed the game, then that is very, very worrying, because he's only played one game for Arsenal since returning, and he didn't even get to play for Ghana, and he's already had a knock. So according to Charles Watts, he says Thomas Partey was named in the Ghana starting 11 to face Brazil on Friday night, but pulled out after feeling something wrong with his knee in the build-up. Now it's the knee, unfortunately. Given Partey's ongoing injury issues, Arsenal fans were understandably worried after hearing the news, especially with the North London derby looming. But sources close to Partey insist the decision to take him out of the Brazil game was purely precautionary, as Ghana did not want to take any risks with their star man. They insist that there is nothing to worry about and that he should be fine to feature against Spurs immediately after the international break. So that is good news. Partey will stay with his international team for now rather than return to England, but he's unlikely to face Nicaragua on Tuesday. So according to reports, he might make the game against Tottenham, which should be very big for us, especially that Tottenham and Liverpool game, those two games against those two teams. You need someone like Thomas Partey in midfield. Yes, the likes of Granit Xhaka have been playing well, but he needs support. You definitely prefer Partey and Xhaka than Lokonga and Xhaka. But obviously, Partey's injury issues are very, very concerning. I've seen a couple of fans already saying, you know what, next season, sell him, buy another player, blah, blah, blah. When he is in the team, you can see the difference, as I always say. He's very, very good at what he does. Transitional play, defending, just staying in his position as well, passing the ball, moving the ball left, right, and center. He's very good at that. And he obviously boosts the game, Xhaka's game. Anyone who plays next to him becomes better. But unfortunately, the injury problems have really been concerning. So that's the latest on Thomas Partey. He might make the Tottenham game, which will be a plus for us. What about Zinchenko? Again, another player who came in. He rarely got injured at Man City, but all of a sudden, got injured at Arsenal. He missed the Brentford game. Before that, he got injured. This is the second time he's getting injured already at Arsenal. So really have to ask yourself questions. It's very concerning as well. But according to reports, Zinchenko has been sidelined with a calf injury and has been forced to remain in England during the international break. So he actually didn't go for the Ukrainian game. They were playing against Scotland the other day, and at the time of recording this, they're actually playing against Armenia, so he isn't part of that squad at all. And Charles Watts goes on to say that means he will miss Ukrainians games against Scotland and Armenia. Arsenal are hopeful the injury is not too serious, however, believe that he will be back in action relatively swiftly. Arsenal are hopeful that Zinchenko could return for the North London derby on October 1st, which is good. If he can return for that game, I'd be very happy. But let me know, if Zinchenko returns and is not 100% fit, would you just start him anyway, even if he's 90% fit? Or would you tell Tierney, you know what, keep playing Tierney. We don't mind Tierney playing until Zinchenko is fit. That is what I'd do personally against Tottenham. I feel Tierney can still do the same job. He's used to that game. He's been here for a couple of years now. So I would start him against Tottenham and then leave Zinchenko to rest for another extra week. So I think the international break came at the right time for us because of the injuries, giving these players time to recover. Because if it wasn't for the international break, we'd have been facing, Liverpool, Tottenham, all these guys, with all these guys missing, unfortunately. So that's the latest on Zinchenko. He could also make the game against Tottenham. What about Odegaard, the other guy who missed the Brentford game? To be honest, we didn't miss any of them that much during that Brentford game because the ones who came in, Tierney and Fabio Vieira stepped in. But we know he's our captain. He's one of the most crucial players in our team. So will he make the Tottenham game? He's also scored against Tottenham before. The Arsenal captain missed the win against Brentford due to a calf injury. Odegaard has been struggling with the issue for a few weeks, but has been playing through the pain. But after taking part in the final training session before the Brentford game, it was decided that he would be best for the playmaker to sit out of the trip to West London. He is undergoing further checks and could still link up with the Norway squad during the international break, depending on the results. So, depending on the results, maybe if they lose the first game, he will play the second game. So, we are hoping Norway wins so that he isn't really needed, because Norway is not going to the World Cup, so they don't really need him for any World Cup. Like, for example, Partey with Ghana, they don't want to risk him because they need him for the World Cup. So, they are hoping that he doesn't play that many games for Arsenal. He doesn't get injured at Arsenal, and they can also rest him for the friendlies so that he can be available for the World Cup. But for Norway and Odegaard, it's different because they're not at the World Cup. Norway manager Stale has even suggested that Odegaard could help the squad in a coaching role during this international break. We'll certainly see him in Norway. So he is with the squad. He's not with Arsenal at the moment. Odegaard should be available to face Tottenham immediately after the international break. So this one seems more sure that he will be playing that game against Tottenham, a player that we really need. Fabio Vieira can definitely step up, but it's always good to have that different option from the bench as well. So Odegaard is expected to make that game against Tottenham. What about Emil Smith-Rowe? Another player that I really like, but injury problems, man. Injuries are really affecting him. I'm really hoping that injuries don't ruin him, because we've seen a lot of players getting ruined by injuries. A promising player like Emil Smith-Rowe, like, it's so different. Like him and Saka. Like, Saka is always fit throughout, like since he joined the team, but Smith-Rowe has been injured, getting injuries left, right, and center. For him, it's a groin injury. He didn't feature. He obviously came on against Man United and for a few minutes and got injured in that game. And speaking about Smith-Rowe on September 7th, Mikel Arteta said he felt discomfort in an area that he's been dealing with now for a few weeks. This remains unclear, but Smith-Rowe is a doubt for the Tottenham game. So this one is one that I don't expect him to make the Tottenham game, at least not start, obviously. He might make the bench, but I don't expect him to feature a lot in that match. Even if he makes the bench and Odegaard is back, I expect Fabio Vieira to come on, get in all those players. I don't think Smith-Rowe will feature a lot, but I'm really hoping he recovers, because this is a very good player. I think is a very, very promising talent. The injuries have cost him, because he was actually in the England squad like earlier this year, but the injuries have like made him drop out of the England squad totally. Like, I don't even expect him to go to the World Cup unless he makes a miracle, recovers, and has the best 2 months in an Arsenal shirt. That's the only way I can see him probably getting to the World Cup, because that England squad with Foden, Saka, all those guys, I really doubt he's going to make it. So I don't think he's a bad player. It's just because of the injury. So for him, I don't expect him to make the Tottenham game. What about Cedric, another guy who I have no idea where he got injured, because these players don't even play. he's not even played an actual game for us in the Premier League, but he got injured in the war and like in training. So according to reports on Cedric Suarez from Charles, all these reports are coming from Charles, by the way. The Portugal international is expected to get his first start of the season in Arsenal's Europa League clash against Zurich on September 8th, but he obviously missed that. But he picked up an injury in training ahead of the game and was forced to stay in England while the rest of the squad flew out to Switzerland. Sources close to Suarez believe he will be sidelined for up to 2 weeks. So it's likely that his first game back could be the North London derby. So he's already missed those 2 weeks now since September 8th is not played. By October 1st, he could be back. Obviously, he's just a bench player. We already have players like Tom Yasu and Ben White playing at right back. But those Europa League games that are also coming up, we have a lot of Europa League games coming up after the international break. We need players like Cedric to be fit. So for him, we are hoping that he does recover on time, at least to have a few more players on the bench. The reason why we've had to have 15-year-olds on the bench and 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, it's because of the injuries to players like Cedric and those kind of players. Another player who's also injured is Reiss Nelson. Remember him? Like, I'm sure if he wasn't injured, he would have been sent out on loan. But since he got injured for a few months, there's no one who would have bought him. So according to reports, he might be available for the Tottenham game. So according to reports, all these players are able to return for the Tottenham game. Most of them, Smith Rowe not very likely. So the international break, I guess, came definitely at the right time, so these players can become fit. I did a video the other day talking about the next 5 fixtures that you have. In case you haven't watched it, check out the page or the channel. And the fixtures are getting hard. Like this month alone, I think we're playing 10 games in October. 10 in 1 month, like Premier League, Europa League, Premier League, Europa League, Premier League, and it's not easy. We have Tottenham, we have Liverpool, we have PSV twice. It's not easy. We are going to have to travel to Norwich to face Bode and Glint. We'll have to travel to Netherlands to face PSV, take trips to the south to face Southampton in an away game, Leeds. It's not going to be easy at all. So we need all our players fit. And let's hope Arteta can, obviously, all these players can return and Arteta can do his magic for this month and we can stay top of the table. So let me know what you think about the latest news. Who are you hoping will make the next game? Would you start Partey in the next match? Would you start Zinchenko? Would you start Tierney? All that and more. So thank you for watching and I'll catch up with you on the next one.